Hello and welcome to On the Other Hoof. We have another fantastic weekend of racing ahead of us with Newmarket, Redcar and Ascot tomorrow. And we also have Longchamp who are staging their ARC card. Obviously the ARC is until Sunday. We'll be talking about that in tomorrow night's video. But on tonight's video we're joined by Timeform's Callum Liddell, Adam Webb and face you might remember from a few years ago, Michael Andrews. Welcome back, Michael.
That's all right. I thought I should give my liver a rest and come and start some racing. Considering this time last year, when you were away, Luke, me, Callum, and Adam absolutely cleaned up over the weekend.
We did.
Never thought I'd hear the day that I'd get 5 winners in a row, and then the sixth one was a nap that came second. Oh God! Talking of naps, oh no! Talking of naps,
Luke. Actually, didn't you nap Bailey Green in a double?
No, it was the next day I did the double. Trev and a filly in the Opera that got beat.
I thought you said you did Bailey Green. You did Bailey Green. It came second.
Yeah, Bailey Green came second on the Saturday, and then on the Sunday it was Silasol and Trev, because I didn't want to nap Trev on her own.
Okay.
Because it would have been too much of a burden, and it proved to be wouldn't. So.
Talking of naps, hands up if you're 5 from 5 in the last 5 weeks.
Just you.
If you don't turn up, do you mean you get a winning nap? If so, I think I might be about there.
You're at 10 from 10, I think. Unfortunately, you just get a blotch next to your name, Michael, I'm afraid. Sad to say. Even if you were going to tip up something at 1. But it looks difficult racing tomorrow. I was talking to Adam earlier on, saying that it looks like it could be a washout tomorrow. There's so much rain forecast. Ascot's already soft for some reason, even though we haven't had rain in about a month. And Redcar's looking like it's going to be soft. Newmarket probably will be soft. So we'll try and sort of go through horses that we might think can be non-runners as we go through the video. And we're going to start in the opener at Newmarket in the 150, the 300,000 Tattersall's Millions 2-year-old trophy of 7 furlongs. It's a competitive race, and a sailor is the real benchmark of this race. But before we go into this, we'd love to hear all your fancies and questions for tomorrow's racing and even Sunday's racing. You can tweet them to @OnTheOtherHoof. We'll read out every single tweet. We'll try to anyway at the end of the show, and we'll answer them to the best of our abilities. But a sailor is the benchmark for the opener at Newmarket. Callum, are you with the odds-on favourite?
I wouldn't use the word competitive for this. For the prize money that's on. It's not competitive.
Well, I try and make it sound good.
Alright, yeah, fair enough. But, I mean, you've got the third highest rated is Lacing. Well, yeah, the third one that has a rating, Lacing, is rated 84. A Sailor's rated 109 officially. So, a Sailor's obviously got to be the one to beat tomorrow. Her Moy-Glare run was pretty solid, and that looks some of the strongest form on offer. And, to be honest, quite a lot of the fillies this year have done extremely well, and it looks a really strong bunch this year. So, she's shown that she's up there with some of the top ones, so I expect a really good run tomorrow. She's run well on soft ground as well, so fully expected to win. The only blot is potentially Very Special, who did look pretty special on debut at Yarmouth. Looks pretty good and has a brilliant pedigree. Well, for me, one of my favourite pedigrees I've ever seen, to be honest. But a sailor I can't see past unless Very Special is Very Special. I don't see a sailor getting beat, unfortunately.
Yeah, Michael, Very Special is named after yourself. Are you starting with your horse tomorrow?
Yeah, very, very special. As in, if it had needs after it, perhaps that would have been after you.
That's what I was going for.
Yeah, but no, Very Special. Yeah, I am particularly special, I believe. I think it could be as Callum has said, could be special due to pedigree, etc. And yeah, it's not really a very interesting race whatsoever, but there are quite a few of them that follow on later in the card. So I think a sailor's obviously the one to beat, but a 4 to 6, I wouldn't really want that. I'd take a risk on Very Special because I think if she is ready to rock on pretty much, he could take over a sailor. Doesn't get any weight though, which is a bit of a negative. They're all on level weight, so. Yeah, it's not a race I want to get involved in. It should come from one of those two. If it came from anything else, it'd have to be pretty decent already.
Yeah, for me, I completely agree with you guys. A Sailor should be winning this, really. Very Special did look very nice when winning her maiden last time out. However, she has to carry that forward and improve again, probably, to be a horse of a Sailor's standard. I just wanted to make a comment about Lacing. Last time out, she won a similar race to this very, very nicely, but it was a very, very weak contest and beat next to nothing race. And she probably achieved about what her mark is, maybe even a little bit, well, probably around that actual mark, around 84. She did not beat much that day at all, and she really will have to step up once again if she wants to win this. However, she did do her job last time, and that was probably the race they wanted to win with her. But I'd be disappointed if a Sailor didn't win this tomorrow, and it's not really a betting race for me at 4 to 6. Adam, I assume you agree with them?
Yeah, I agree with every sentiment here. I think Osela, she's the best horse in the race, and she's got form on soft ground, so that's a big tick. One at a bit of a price that interests me if the rain does come is You're Kidding, who she's coming down in distance, yeah, but if the rain does get into the ground, I could see her going from the front and trying to make this a true stamina test, because she already, even though she won over a mile last time out, she already looks to want further, so the drop back in trip, yeah, it's a lot of prize money, so I can see why they're doing it. But if the rain does get into the ground, she could easily nab a place from the front, especially with Joe Fanning on board. So I think a Sailor's your likely winner, but You're Kidding could surprise if the rain comes.
Yeah, fair. It probably wouldn't be the hardest race to sort of plug one in third in, would it, really? I mean, we've got the two standouts, and then other than that, not really sure where to go for the third best. One race that really is quite competitive, though, and I don't think Callum could even disagree with this, is the 205 at Ascot, the Albert Bartlett Stakes. Of course, we know it as the Rue Stakes. 5 furlongs. Muthmir, if he turns up, should take a lot of beating in this, but we saw Maureen Haggis on Racing UK earlier on saying that there were worries about the ground already. There's more rain forecast tomorrow, starting at around 10 a.m, I believe, and going on for the majority of the afternoon. So surely his participation has to be taken into account, and there really has to be a worry about that, Adam.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, if this was good ground, I'd be all over Muthmir. I think 11 to 8 was a gift of a price. However, if this rain comes, he'll probably be a non-runner. And again, it sounds silly, but the last time the second and third from Mecca's Angel rate, well, obviously they posed again. I'm really tempted to put up a forecast with them two because they both like soft ground, which is Justice Day and a Jad. Justice Day, I think, well, there'll be a huge Rule 4 with Muthmir coming out, but I think Justice Day is your likely winner. Steps, ooh, he is interesting again, but he sometimes leaves his race in the stalls, and that would be the worry again. I go with Justice Day, and I think a Jad is a big price again, so it feels like I'm going for the same horses again, but with this rain, I think them two would be pretty dangerous tomorrow.
Michael, can you see Muthmir turning up tomorrow?
Well, I think if he turns up, I think he should win. If he doesn't win, I think it'd be the bubble would go as such. But do I think he's going to turn up? I have in my eyes that he's not going to turn up. That would be my honest opinion. And if so, I think Step should win this. I think this track suits him a lot better than the other tracks. Obviously, won this last year. I think he's won quite a few times, in fact, over this course and distance, especially at Ascot. And there's not a huge amount of depth to the race, really. I can understand the Justice Day, and a Jad is overpriced if you look at the how far that one was beaten in comparison, and comparing the prices between Justice Day and a Jad. But then there's not. If Muthmir came out, Demora perhaps will blaze the trail, but I think that'll set that up more for Steps. He needs a pretty quick pace, and over the soft ground, I think we'll be able to make up the ground he perhaps loses at the stalls. And I think Steps is a really good bet tomorrow, especially as considering he's not really giving away he would normally in some of the handicaps, for example, in the dash when he was giving away a ridiculous amount and he still stayed on to finish very, very quickly. I think he came 5th that day, I'm not really sure. So yeah, Steps for me, and I don't really know who's going to come behind that. I think it could be a bit of a group, but I think Steps, if you take Muthmir out, is the classiest one, and I'm hoping that Muthmir comes out and Steps is the one for me.
Yeah, on form, I think Steps is the class horse with Muthmir taken out, probably even with Muthmir in, actually. Steps has probably achieved or this season anyway in sort of running big races in Group 1s like he has been. However, I'm a big fan of Steps. I really like the horse, but I've just got a small suspicion that he might be a nearly horse that always sort of flatters staying on late in the day, and he never really helps himself out, as Adam mentioned, leaving his race in the stalls. He does that more often than not. Andreas Zaney takes over from Kieran Fallon tomorrow. Kieran Fallon was a fantastic match for a horse like Steps, who can race a little bit lazily. Andreas Zaney, I think, is entirely a negative, but it could just be a horse that Kieran Fallon excels with. But like I say, it's not a negative for Andreas Zaney at all. Personally, I'm going to agree with Adam, unfortunately, and go for Justice Day, who returned to form last time behind Mecca's Angel. I'm putting it solely down to because of the ground. He's been running in much higher company in Group 1s. He ran in, I think, the July Cup and the King's Stand behind Soul Power and Slay Power. Now, he's not anywhere near that class, really, and his performances them days told that. But on the softer ground again, at one point last time I thought he was going to beat Mecca's Angel. He didn't really go past, and Mecca's Angel was a rapidly improving filly, and she could potentially be Group 1 class next year. But if Justice Day reproduces that kind of form and Muthmir doesn't turn up, then it will take a good horse to beat Justice Day. I'm wary of Steps, and I agree with Adam that Ajard should run another big race. Ajard seems to sort of really found this sort of a new lease of life really at the age of 8. His last 2 performances have been much better than what he's been showing for sort of the early part of the season. As for the rest, maybe Hey Chewed, if he returns to any kind of form, then Hey Chewed could set a good trail. But Justice Day for me. Callum, you quite like Steps though, don't you?
Do I?
Well, you did earlier. We had a debate about Steps.
Yeah, and I said Justice Day.
I don't listen to you.
No, you don't. You clearly don't. It all revolves around Muthmir, who looked a pretty special horse last time, or did do at York as well, and can easily be excused as Steward's Cup run. It just depends on how much rain we get tomorrow, whether he runs. So if he doesn't, then it's between Steps and Justice Day, especially if the ground is on the softer side, because both of them prefer softer ground, especially over this trip. Steps just seems to miss a beat when it's too fast for him, the ground, and struggles and comes with a late run. Tomorrow I think he'll be fine. Justice Day with plenty of pace on as well, he can track just behind him and go for it. So it's probably his. If Muthmir doesn't run, then I think Justice Day will probably win it, especially if the rain came. If Muthmir ran, then I think he'll win.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Moving back to Newmarket though, in the 220, it's another competitive race, the 500,000 Tattles Millions 2-year-old trophy run over 7 furlongs. The one that's being backed now is Secret Brief, but it's a much more wide open race than the first at Newmarket, and it's going to be a much harder race to dissect. Callum, we'll let you have first crack at it.
Yeah, it's a lot. This is competitive, Luke. Honestly, this one is. It's a good race. You've got the 2 horses that have already been in a similar event in Hardback Hero and Secret Brief. Pretty fair form, both of them, when they ran at Newmarket. Add Bossy Guess into that as well. It's just whether there's a couple of potential improvers that have been either running in maiden companies, in nurseries, or in group company that could potentially be better than them. Invincible Gold's a horse I like of Ed Walker's, and I think he's well worth a chance in this field. Tanaf for Mike de Kock, who made a really, really impressive debut at Newmarket and could well be up to this standard. And Mysterioso, who did run quite well last week in the Royal Lodge. Probably had a hard race though, so a little bit disappointing he's out so soon for one that did seem to possibly need a bit more time. If again, it's not a race I really want to have a bet in. I think the favourite deserves to be favourite because he won really well back over 6 that time. He's got some good form at 7 furlongs. I know that York Maiden hasn't particularly worked out that well as well as we thought it would be, but and also I think a little bit of cut in the ground did suit him actually, instead of a really fast ground that he got at York and at Goodwood. So I think he deserves to be favourite. Again, I'm probably going to put him up, but Tanaf at a price I think will not disgrace at all. He might be more of a long-term prospect, but he really impressed with everything he did on debut, so he's well worth a chance in a better race.
Yeah, I returned just at the right point. I've no idea what happened there. My iPad just does not like Google Hangouts anymore. Michael, your thoughts?
My thoughts on this race were very detailed when I was making my note. You can see there. That was pretty much how I would sum up the whole 220 race, and I really can't get involved at all. This race doesn't excite me at all. It's so wide open. I just say keep your money to yourself. If we're going from a naughty lucky 15 kind of perspective, Secret Briefs will possibly be the selection. There's nothing there that really excites me. I think Ballymore Castle obviously has that form with Beta Alga and has never been out the first three. But I'm really clutching at straws, and it's probably best to let me talk more about the handicaps or the races in France later than waffle on about a race that I will never be losing my money on.
Yeah, I'm going to have to take the same sort of route as Michael here. If you gave me money, I don't think I'd want to put it on this race. It's definitely a watching brief. For me, there's not really anything I could get that excited about. Secret Brief, I can sort of understand why he's favourite, but I don't know. I just couldn't have a bet in this at all. Adam, could you?
Couldn't have a bet, but one slightly bigger price. I quite like Ballymore Castle on the fact that he actually has soft ground form, and that with the rain, I think he could be one that's overpriced. I mean, I can understand the angle on Secret Brief, who won a similar race last time out, and I think a step back up to 7 won't hinder him at all. The other one that did interest me, I think me and Callum must be copying each other type, but Tanaf did, but I just question whether he'd go on a softer surface. If he did, I think he'd have a big chance as well, but I think if I had to put up a bet in the race, I'd probably say Ballymore Castle.
Yeah, I think it's a race that not many people have a strong view on. Again, another one that a few people might have a strong enough view on is the 240 Ascot, the BMW Cumberland Lodge Stakes, which is a Group 3 run over a mile and a half. If the sufficient rain falls, Heather's Moon would have to be a doubt in this. Surely as a faster ground horse, and that would take us down to 4. Parish Hall I can't see going on sort of softer ground, so that might be a 3-runner race, and the others aren't really spectacular soft ground horses. So what way are we going in this one, Adam?
I'm just trying to see if Enki... Well, Enki's won on good to soft, so...
That's about as good as you get in, I think.
That's about as good as you get in. But Energy of Fribby as well, racing the Broaders race on softer ground, so they'd be the two that you'd probably want to look at. The Heather's Moon doesn't like soft ground. I'm a bit gutted that Glorious Protector wasn't left in here, because he likes soft ground, and he would have, I think, gone close in this race. I think the one, if Enki handles a really, it depends how much rain there is, but if there's enough rain and Enki handles it, he should be winning this. And this is going to be used as a prep run for the Stayers race on Champions Day. And Enki was involved in, obviously, the race in the Irish St Leger, where everything apart from Brown Panther and the Pacemaker were given shocking rides. So you could forgive him that, but he's actually shown form this season as well. It shows that he's actually come back and he's actually in good form. So I think Enki should be winning this if he is. And I'll hand over to Callum now because Luke's not here. So I'm taking over again like last year. And Godolphin also won this with Secret Number last year, so hopefully we can have another Godolphin winner. Callum, what do you think about the Cumberland Lodge?
Heather's Moon, I mean, you mentioned that he doesn't really handle soft ground, but he actually won in Turkey last time on very soft ground, so it may not be as necessarily a worry as to be honest, I thought it was early in the season because he did look a horse that really needed fast ground, and when he disappointed at Newbury on good to soft, again it was the excuse I gave, but I was a little bit surprised he won last time. I just think a tactical event like this might not suit him at all. He's a horse that does take a bit of settling. Again, that's a worry. I think Pat Dobbs is a very good jockey, but Richard Hughes does a particularly good job in settling the horse, and that's a worry for me, especially with the potential lack of pace on. And he might have to make the running here. I know he's 2 from 2 and making the running, but it would be a worry for me. NK as well. To be honest, I'm not really sure what to make of the ground tomorrow at Ascot. It could either be really soft, or the times today were respectable. It got faster throughout the day. I think maybe just a bit of dew early on that made it look a bit slower than it was, but there is a lot of rain forecast tomorrow, so it really is guesswork. If it's on good ground, then I do think NK might do it tomorrow. He's got £5 from Heather's Moon, and he's done nothing wrong this season. He's run 2 really respectable races, and he looks a horse that still has potential to be winning Group 3s and Group 2s and maybe even Group 1s. So I think NK tomorrow might do it.
Well, Luke's returned now, so I don't have to take over the hosting baton.
Yes. This is getting annoying. I haven't even got race cards now because my laptop's screwing up as well. Was that just Callum talking?
It was me, then Michael. Not Michael. Callum. Now it's Michael's turn, and then it'd be your turn.
Michael, go.
Yeah, I must admit I wasn't quick off the ball there, as in last week when Luke... not last week, whenever I was last on, like 2 years ago. I took over pretty swiftly in the absence of Adam, and I think Callum was a bit up. He's now the only permanent member of On the Other Hoof, not to have done some impromptu hosting. In this race, anyway, I have got to be with Enki. I think Heather's Moon won on Race Fitness when they met on level weights in the Glorious Six at Goodwood. That race, though, I think for a better word, it's pretty much the dog race of the year when you think of all the horses in that partook. It pretty much Heather's Moon was the only horse that actually wanted to win, and all the others just didn't really fancy it. So yeah, I think Enki will win this. Heather's Moon may come out, and you're right, Parish Hall is also probably not going to be too keen on soft ground. Energy of Fribby obviously won at Chester last time out, but this is a step up, and I think Enki's come back at a pretty good level, and I fully expect him to win tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm probably going to have to side with Enki as well, and I hope that he handles the softer ground. Heather's Moon is one that I made a case for earlier that probably won't run if it gets too soft. Obviously, one in Velafendi, I think, was last time out, and the ground was softer than you'd expect it to be there. It was fairly testing, but like I said, it was a weak race that day, and he should have won it, really. And he did win in quite a nice style, but came off the bridle earlier on, so there's a few concerns about that. But if Enki continues in the same sort of vein of form that he has been in since his comeback, then Enki should be the one that takes a lot of beating here. Obviously, last time out there was a lot made about the rides that were given to all horses but Brown Panther in the Irish St. Ledger, and Enki was probably one that fell under that bracket. And so hopefully, I'd be hoping that Enki can get back on the winning track here. The intro for this next race at Newmarket is going to be very interesting, because I don't have a race card.
It's the Oso Sharp Stakes.
The Oso Sharp Stakes, right.
Yeah.
Adam, who's winning the Oso Sharp?
Oh, thanks. I haven't got a clue, because it's not, for me, I've looked at the race, and I can't really see a classic winner coming out of it for next year. I mean, you've got Yodeling at the top, who won a couple of weeks ago at Kempton in good style, but whether she can transform that onto turf as well, and also local time as well. Them two at the top of the market haven't raced on turf yet, so I'm wondering how they'll react to turf for the first time. Shagar, which is Michael's Naughty Lucky 15 horse, has got some good form in the book, third behind Agnes Stewart last time out, and Agnes Stewart I know is very highly thought of. If she goes on the ground, Shagar, I think, is your likely winner.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Michael, your thoughts?
Yeah, I've got a pretty thorough thought on this in this event. I think I do quite like local time. Obviously, first time on turf, that'll be interesting to see. But I think that one could be quite decent. But yeah, I think Shagar, there's good form there. It'd be quite good. I think it would benefit her if they go hard, and it could stop the yodeling as long as we do it in a majestic manner and she's feeling easy. So I think it could be a pretty decent race, but it's Shagar for me, and she will be featuring heavily later on in the Naughty Lucky 15.
Bravo.
That was a Michael Andrews special. We haven't missed Michael on the tipping side of things, but what he does give to On the Other Hoof is that beautiful poetry right there.
Yeah.
Well done, Mikey. I am in the process of loading up race card, so Caldog, take it away.
Well, the two Godolphin horses are particularly interesting, but local time should be plenty shorter, and Yodeling should be a much bigger price for me. Yodeling, I wasn't really that impressed by her debut. I know she's really well bred, and she clearly has a reputation, but there is no way she should be 11-4 based on that evidence. And local time showed a lot more in Kempton Maidens with much stronger form in, and was a real positive in terms of time. In terms of times, I was a big fan of her dam, actually, Marie de Medici, who actually didn't seem to retire that long ago, and it seems strange that she's already got a foal. So local time for me, I think tomorrow. Shagar got fair form, but I think I do like local time tomorrow.
Yeah, I have to say I'm complete with local time. When I sort of stumbled upon local time when I was doing the hills work the other day, because there was a horse, I can't remember the name of it at all, ran in Justice Day's colours that ran on the same card and got beat by local time last time out, and local time actually looked like a very, very nice prospect in that race, and the form wasn't exactly let down. This kind of race doesn't look the strongest renewal in truth, so for me I'd side with local time. The next race to cover is the 2-year-old race at Redcar, so 2-year-old trophy. Limato, is he going to turn up? If there's a lot of or substantial rain again in the morning, as there looks like there's going to be, then surely Limato's participation would have to be in doubt, like it was at Newbury a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
It could fall into the hands of one of the other ones in the field. Adam, Limato, yay or nay?
If it absolutely chucks it down, then I'm a nay. If the rain does come, and you're going to kick me now, Luke, or you'll want to kill me, because I really do like Bronze Maquette.
You arse!
She was really... There you go, I knew you'd say that. She was really impressive on soft ground at Newbury, and you can forgive the last run. I thought the ground was plenty quick enough for her at Donny in the race at Beacon Run, and Cotai Glory sort of went wayward. I really like her tomorrow. I also like Matt Moo as well, getting a lot of weight down at the bottom. He's been really consistent. He was third in the third race at Doncaster, and they would be the two that I would put up for this race. But if I had to have a preference, it'd be Bronze Maquette.
Yeah, idiot. Whenever I go to you first and trust you about something, you take my fancy. If the ground did stay good to firm, then I think Limato would be a bit of a good thing in this race. But whether it will, with all that rain that's forecast tomorrow, I'm not too sure. And if it does come, then I think Bronze Maquette could very much outrun her odds at the moment at 10-1. I think she might do that anyway. But she does need softer ground. You'll go back 3 runs ago at Ascot. It was down as good to firm. Really, it was soft. They had a massive deluge before racing, and the ground was nowhere near good to firm. It probably wasn't even anywhere near good. So that was on softer ground. Then won a listed race next time out at Newbury, and the styling of a very, very good horse. Accipiter was back in 4th that day, so Accipiter has since won a listed race as well. But she let herself down last time. Now I'm putting that down completely to the ground. That was behind Beacon, of course, in the race at Cotai Glory. Got rid of George Baker just before the line. She really didn't show up at all that day. It was faster ground. I just don't think she... I think she's very, very, very much ground dependent in that she does need it very testing. And like I say, again, I know it's another if, and it's annoying to say, but if the rain does come and it's soft ground, then Bronze Maquette could take a lot of beating tomorrow, because she is a very, very classy filly, but she's not much to look at if you're going to see her in the parade ring. Don't let that put you off, because she is a very, very small horse, and I've said very a lot in that one. Michael, your thoughts on the race?
Well, I think this is very difficult because we don't know about Limato at the moment. I think Limato, if it is decent ground, Limato should really win, and it'd be quite nice to have an impressive winner. But you've got to put this race into context. There's 23 runners, or 23 still, yeah, 23. And these kind of races are sometimes the best horse doesn't always win it. But saying that, then you think of what Tiggy Wiggy did at Newbury earlier in the year and just absolutely destroyed them. The horse that I take just slightly out of the top kind of 4 or so, I do like Bronze Maquette. I completely understand that line, but in the same way Limato as well. I think George Dryden is perhaps one to really take into account. We'll appreciate the step up in trip after being 6 behind Beacon and Cotai Glory a couple of weeks ago. He stayed on really well there, and I think the extra furlong will really suit him to let him be on terms. So yeah, George Dryden would be my each way selection, about 14-1. It would be quite nice for Limato, for the rain not to come, Limato to hose in and be a really, really interesting 2-year-old and 3-year-old for next year.
Yeah, I think if the rain doesn't come, it's just a matter of how far for Limato. I really do like the horse, but a person that's liked the horse for even longer is Callum. Can you see Limato turning up tomorrow?
I'd like to see him turn up, because he's one of the most impressive 2-year-olds of the season, and his form has stacked up in most ways. Beating Cotai Glory last time out, albeit he was running over 6 furlongs, was impressive, and he just picked him up and spat him out. Basically, it was such an impressive performance. There's a few though that would, if the rain came, they would really prefer soft ground. I'll obviously take Minor Madness out of that, who I think will struggle if it's soft ground. But horses like Matt Moo, who gets a lot of weight, like Adam, I think it was Adam that mentioned. Bronze Maquette again was impressive on soft ground, like you mentioned, Luke, and Adam mentioned. So they've got to be given a chance. And I actually agree with Michael, with George Dryden, who has impressed me a lot actually. made
You
a
don't
really,
have
really
to act,
taking
you don't have to
debut
act so
at
surprised when you
Ponty.
say that, Callum.
What's that?
You don't have to act so surprised.
No. Well, I just because I kind of agree with everyone there, but I agree with Michael the most. So you can forget that Nottingham run behind Prize Exhibit where he just went off way too fast. And last time he ran a really good race in the Flying Childers at Doncaster. I think the ground should be fine for him, whatever really, and up to 6 furlongs. Back up to 6 furlongs will really suit him. So we've not seen the best of this horse. Apart from that, I think Wet Sail maybe, who for
Yeah.
Charlie Fellows just should run quite well as well. Who seemed to really be getting his act together. I've never seen it. He was just so green on debut. It was unreal all throughout. But he's growing into a really smart horse.
Yeah, I was going to mention Wet Sail actually because he's recently changed hands to Qatar Racing. Green on debut, probably should have won at Windsor next time out. Got caught behind horses, had to check, come out wide again, and then under hands and heels almost got there. I think it was David Probert riding that day. If he really went for it, I think he'd have got up. But there were obviously other days in mind. One of Salisbury made him really nicely and turns up here in sort of under the ownership of Qatar Racing. But there are a few horses in the field that are in the horse and training sale coming up, including Mine of Madness, Bronze Maquette, Vimy Ridge. Am I missing any? No. So I've got Becca's down there doing her bloodstock work, and she's pointed out horses that are in the sales to me. So I'm trying to make myself looking intelligent there. But there are two for me: Bronze Maquette and Wet Sail. But the rain really does have to come for them. If not, then I think it's just a sort of good thing that Limato should hose up. But we shall wait to see for that. We'll go back to Ascot now for the John Guest Benbour Stakes, Group 3 of 6 furlongs. And another sort of competitive race. Tropics was one that looked like was coming back to form earlier on in the year. Disappointed last time out, has to bounce back here. Softer ground, is that much of an issue, Callum?
It shouldn't be an issue. I mean, he's run well on it before. It was good to soft ground when he won this race last year, and he absolutely bolted up in it in a race that's worked out pretty nicely. So I expect a decent run. Last time in the Spring Cup, he was just way too keen. I think the pace was that strong in the race, and he just didn't settle at all throughout it, and his finishing effort told really. But back to form, he's the one to beat in this. But there's quite a few you can give chances to. Reckless Abandon, got to go well back up to 6 furlongs, which is always going to be his trip. I'm just not sure if he's quite the same horse anymore, to be perfectly honest. I'm really, really interested to see how Lightning Moon gets on for Ed Walker, because he's a horse that has impressed incredibly in his first 2 starts, which he won with consummate ease, and he hasn't been seen for about 4 months now, but he's off 98 still, so there was potential for another handicap in him, and to come here straight away I think is quite significant. So I'm going to put him up actually at each way. I think Lightning Moon will not disgrace at all, and Ed Walker is a very, very good trainer, so he wouldn't be putting him here if he didn't think he was good enough.
What prices are around about for Lightning Moon? I've got 7 to 1 at the moment. I'm
Yeah,
seeing.
7s?
Yeah, he's new price wise.
He's been absolutely smashed then.
Is he price wise?
He was double that earlier.
Yeah, you must be price-wise.
Price wise.
What a dreadful price on Lightning Moon. I'm going to put up... I can't believe that's 7 to 1.
Yeah, he's price wise. Yeah, they got him at 10 to 1.
That is outrageous.
Of course they did. Are you going to put a replacement up or stick with Lightning Moon?
No, I'll stick with him. I can't be bothered to analyse it anymore.
Well, I am going to steal Adam's thunder here because he stole mine on Bronze Maquette. Lucky Crystal is a horse that I put up at the start of the season thinking that she was a 1,000 guineas hoe. In the 1,000 guineas, she pulled way too hard, didn't stay, and got tailed off. Improved on that in the Coronation Stakes at Ascot behind Rosina, but again didn't stay the mile. Dropped back in trip last time out at Doncaster and was leading with about a furlong left to go and looked like she might have a chance of staying out the 7 furlong trip, but then again the stamina gauge hit empty and she dropped back behind Kyoshi. That was in a really nice race, sort of I'd say similar maybe in standard to this kind of race, but back into 6 furlongs is definitely her trip. I think she's more of a sprinter. I got it wrong at the start of the year, I have to confess that she'd stay a mile, but I think over sprinting trips, she's better than a mark of 103 would suggest, so I don't think she's got as much to find as official ratings would say, but she does have to prove a lot. I've been saying for a while that she needs to go back sprinting, but today is the day that she really does have to sort of answer all the questions about it. The ground I don't think being much of a worry, and Andrea Atzani filling in the saddle is no bad thing at all. No disrespect to Tom Queally, but Andrea Tzeni's been one of the jockeys of the season for me. So Lucky Cristal for me, I wouldn't really put too much up against her if I'm honest. She's getting weight all around, so I'm hoping Lucky Cristal can bounce back to winning form tomorrow. And Adam, you're quite the same as that, aren't you?
Yeah, well, when the 5-day entries came out, the first message I think I said to you was Lucky Cristal's finally entered over 6 furlongs again, and she gets the allowances here. I think the only slight doubt I do have is the ground. If she goes on the ground, I think she's got a huge chance and could make that price look very silly. Interesting to note about what George Margerson said earlier. If she actually doesn't run well tomorrow, she could be a type for something like the Wokingham on quick ground next year.
Yeah.
But he did say that it would only be one go in a handicap because she's not the type of filly that you'd want to be running in handicaps week in, week out. So, which I thought was a fair comment to make. Looking elsewhere in the race, I think Reckless Abandoners ran well on both starts. I mean, Mecca's Angel absolutely destroyed that field at Donny, and she came out again and did it again over 5. I think the step back up to 6 furlongs will help him, and Kevin Manning is also a very good jockey booking. I think they're going to be, they'll be using this for the Champions Day sprint, so you'd hope he'd run well for that. Tropics, I remember last year, me, Michael and Callum all put him up for this race, and he absolutely dotted in, and he got that mark of 115, and he has ran to that this year. He was second in the July Cup, disappointed in the Sprint Cup, and I just hope he can run a big race again and come back to that level of form. So I think Lucky Cristal, if she handles the ground, is your likely winner.
Yeah, completely agree with that. Michael, last one to talk. You're fancying the race?
Yeah. Oh no, this is a race, isn't it? This is a proper race. This is the race you want to start talking about. Not those stupid hilly-billy races with horses you've never heard of before. We've got 17 and a good. I could talk pretty in depth about probably 14 of them, but I'll stick to the 4 I've got written down. I probably won't. We'll start with Tropics. Obviously, really liked this horse last year, and it was so nice to see the emotion that came out of Dean Ivory after he was interviewed after Tropics' success this time last year. And I think, when you look at it, Tropics has got some pretty decent form on the book. Apart from that little blip last time out, he won in the listed race at Newmarket, and before that was only beaten a length and a half by the superior force that is Slade Power. So that's really seriously good form, and I think that is definitely the best form in the race. I can't really look at anything else. There's a few handicappers in here you're looking at. For example, Boomerang Bob, Louis de Pius. There's a few others like that are all kind of Badir Albador. And I think that Tropics is back to his best, and the ground is suitable for him. I think he's got a really good chance. Of the others, Lucky Cristal, I completely agree with what Luke and Adam have said on that point, but I don't think she's for me today, especially on what could be soaked ground, potentially. The one that I want to mention, in fact, is Intibar, who's very likely a race and always goes well after a break. Had 147 days off, and last time he had a break, he beat Annunciation on soft ground, Walk by the New Marachi Music, and a few others like that, including Mass Rally, but I think that horse underperformed that day. Got a quick mention for Casper Netcher, but the one that I just come around to is Signs of Blessing, who I think has been put down here, and put quite cleverly in here, in fact, considering obviously a lot of the French focus will be on Longchamp today. Signs of Blessing has got some really good form, especially on soft ground, so if it does come up soft, this horse has got some strong form. Beat Rangali over 5.5 furlongs at Fontainebleau earlier on in the season, and then was beaten a length and a half by Cat Call, and then was beaten a similar margin by Thawani, who's a decent horse with Freddie Head, I believe, and then obviously went on and won at Baden since, and won that pretty impressively. Obviously, Sansesio was the only other horse really in the race in comparison. And they annihilated all of the German runners. So I think Signs of Blessing is quite a decent price at about 12 to 1. It's a very good race, but it would be Signs of Blessing versus Tropics for me. Those would be the two I'd like to take. I can't take Danzino. I just he's so temperamental, and I think there's more willing horses that you'd want to take in this race.
Yeah, I think you made quite a good case for Signs of Blessing there. If Private Sean wasn't on, then he definitely is now. I was surprised we haven't had a tweet about that, actually, for a foreign horse coming over here. But we have a couple of foreign horses in the next race, in the 3:30 at Newmarket, the Kingdom of Bahrain Sun Chariot Stakes, which is a Fillies Group 1 over a mile at the on the Rowley Mile as well. The foreign horses coming over, like Miss France, Fintry, and Esoterique. Esoterique actually beat Integral last time out. Well, 2 runs ago, but last time out for Integral. This looks like one of the races of the day for me. Adam, who are you with?
I'm with Fintry. I was really impressed with her win early in the season on very soft ground, and she did well at Sandown under a penalty. What she beat remains questionable, but the style in which she did it was really impressive. I even made a point to you guys that she could go win this, and then it wouldn't shock me if she turned up on Champions Day in the QE2. And the same could be even said for the likes of Integral as well, who's also back here, but my slight doubt about her would be the ground, whereas Fintry we know will go on a softer surface, and it handles better ground as well, so I think Fintry is actually a very confident selection for me in this race. I really like her.
Fair enough. I did like the way Fintry won last time. It's just I really don't like what she beat at all. I was a big fan of Waterhole, but she really let down the form last time out at Yarmouth. Obviously, that form, she didn't run to a rating that day. She didn't run to anywhere near what she can achieve. But I don't know, it's just a bit of a worry for me at Sandown in the Atalanta, wasn't it? Michael, any angle on the French horses coming over?
Yeah, that Fintry form is really not good enough. That is seriously not good enough in comparison to what Integral and Esoteric and also Miss France will bring in. I just don't get the price whatsoever. Fintry, the only reason is due to the visual impression she left at Sandown. Integral, Miss France and Esoteric should be shorter, and I don't understand why Miss France is shorter than Esoteric, considering they were the other way around last time they ran in Deauville. And obviously those three, obviously ran together in Deauville. I think Integral could reverse the form, as she did with Esoteric at Ascot. But I think it's got to be between those three, and Fintry's got to improve to meet that level. I think the same. And, the others in there, I can't have Sky Lantern. It's not been the same horse this year whatsoever. And I wasn't a big Sky Lantern fan when she was actually quite good in a classic season. Itab's got to improve massively, and Jay Wonder has been a bit disappointing. Sometimes very good one up, but that form's just simply not good enough in St. in fairness. So I think those three, the Deauville race, the Rothschild Group 1, the Esoteric, Miss France, Integral, are the ones to take it out of it. And I think in Integral, that was not a bad run. I think back in her home country, I think Integral's going to beat. And I just don't get why Fintry's 9-4. It's just the form is just not good enough.
Yeah.
Can I just make a quick point about this race? It's not about Fintry. Jay Wonder's a non-runner, so now it's gone from 8 to 7. So if you're backing each way, you're only backing 2 places. So yeah.
If you're backing each way, I think you're very brave in this kind of race.
Yeah, I agree with that, but you never know. There may be people out there that may want an each way punt in the race, but you're not going to get 3 places now.
Yeah, well, that would rule out an each way punt to anyone, I think, in this kind of race. I am really, really keen on Integral, actually, and I have been since the declarations came out, even since the entries came out. Last time out, I can completely forgive, the race could not have been run to suit less. She was behind Esoterique and Miss France that day. And it wasn't the worst run in the world, but she does need a really strong pace to aim at, and she got that at Ascot, and she was really, really impressive at Royal Ascot. So she beat L'Amour de ma Vie that day. L'Amour de ma Vie confirmed that behind last time out at Deauville, but the ground I don't really have down as a worry for Integral. She won on the July course on softer ground, so I don't really have that softer ground down as too much of a hindrance for her. I would say she prefers it faster. How much rain Newmarket are going to get, I'm not 100% sure, because I think they were down for the least rain out of all of the courses across the country, and they're good to firm in places at the moment. So we'll see about that. Fincher, I agree with Michael that the form isn't good enough. Miss France I'd have down as the biggest danger. She really quite liked the Rowley Mile when winning the 1,000 guineas earlier on in the season, but I just think Integral is a lot better than these, and I wouldn't be surprised, like Adam said, to see her turn up in sort of on Champions Day and take on the boys for the first time. So yeah, I really do like Integral tomorrow. I think 7-2 is a massive price about her. I think she really should be favourite as well. But yeah, Integral for me. Callum, you with Integral as well?
Well, I've changed my mind after hearing all you guys speak. I've changed my mind in that time to about 3 different horses in the race. It is just wide open. The market suggests likewise. I know quite a lot of you in crabbing the Fintry form. I know the Sandown run it really wasn't strong form at all, that Sandown race, but she won really comfortably. And before that, in the Sandringham at Chantilly, she beat, well, what I think is a pretty good horse in La Hoguet, who has run really well since behind Charm Spirit, and that is Group 1 form for me. Without any doubt, it's proper Group 1 form. But I'm just really not sure 11-4 is the right price, and I would agree on that. I just expected it to be a bigger price, because there are genuine Group 1 fillies in this race. I mean, Integral's won a Group 1. Well, in fact, all four of them at the top of the market have won Group 1s, whereas Century hasn't. So, Integral, yeah, I think the better ground will really suit her tomorrow. There's just a real lack of pace in the race as well. I mean, there's no notable front runner in the race at all, and horses like potentially Esoteric and Miss France, who can be race prominent, have been held up more of late. So Integral, really good run in the race last year behind Sky Lantern. Sky Lantern has really disappointed this season. She might be primed for tomorrow, but Integral, I think, is just a better filly now. So I think Integral's the likely winner. But seeing as Esoteric is 2-1 over Integral so far, and there's a price disparity between the two, virtually double, that seems a bit big. So the value bet, I think, is Esoteric, but I do think Integral will win.
Yeah,
if you know
Integral,
what I mean.
I think we said even in the flat preview video that Integral was going to be a this season horse, maybe even next season if they keep her in training. Slightly surprised to see Etab in here.
I'm not at all. If they said that this might, well,
yeah.
William Haggis said that there was no other race for her.
Yeah,
and,
because
and
she's going to
Hamdan
be
wants to
retired.
retire her. Yeah.
Was there nothing that they could find over a mile 2 though?
Overall mile 2, I mean, I don't know, potentially, but
That's the way I would have gone, because she was outpaced early on.
is the
What
offer
about
over 1-2?
Yeah, offers over 1-2. What about America for her?
She just need good ground as well. So
America.
Exactly, America would be
What fillies
perfect for her.
the fillies and mares is over 12, isn't it?
I thought it was over 10.
Was it 10? I thought it was 12.
Dan won it last year.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, it's 10. Yeah.
You
Sorry.
should be race planners, man. Oh.
I don't cover American race.
We'll be doing soon our Breeders' Cup preview. But yeah, I don't know. It's just an interesting run at Etab. I don't think she'll run on account of the ground, but I hope they keep her in training next season. I really do hope they do, because I think she'll be a really good horse.
The ground at Newmarket will be quick tomorrow, I still think. They haven't watered at all, and it drains so fast, and they've had no rain whatsoever. It would have to be a downpour to change that to anything.
Have you seen the forecast?
I have seen the forecast, and it's nowhere near as bad at Newmarket than it is elsewhere.
No. Yeah, no, I say that it's not as bad at Newmarket as the other courses, but they are meant to get a fair amount of rain, though.
Yeah, that's true, but I don't think talking about horses needing soft ground, I think is nonsense tomorrow for Newmarket.
They could be famous last words.
Like.
Other courses.
Actually, no, it is the Rowley Mile now. So, yeah.
It is, yeah.
Well, yeah, exactly. They're on the Rowley Mile now, so it can't rain. It's illegal to rain because it can only rain during a meeting when it's a July course. So that's a fair point. The last race of the day is Michael's Heaven, the Totesport Challenge Cup, 07 furlongs, 18 runners, a handicap. Michael Andrews, go.
Yeah, I've actually struggled with this one.
Really underwhelming, that. I gave you a big setup.
I know, it's there's just so many decent horses. There's nothing that really stands out for me. It's that good. So I think from a watching perspective, it's going to be really, really interesting. But where do I start? Okay, well, Redvers I can't really have winning. I think this is more competitive than the race that, his race that he managed to lose and came second in 2 starts ago. Childerkite's got a lot of weight and has been disappointing. He was disappointing the last couple of times, I think, now. But again, this is a slight easy class in comparison. Yeah, he was in the Group 2 last race. But it was won by Bow Creek. I think I remember that race at Goodwood, and that was a bit of a tactical affair. Heaven's Guest obviously won this last year and completed that pretty spectacular day apart from Luke. And also I like Blaine as well, who was obviously won at Hamilton, I think, earlier on in the season, and then was third behind Louis the Pious, Ascot Gold Cup. It's just so different on court. There's so many decent horses in here. I think you've got to discount horses that are, out and out handicappers. I think there could be something in here that's, that's a bit above that. So I can't really have Heavy Metal. He's out of form. although has been given a month off though, which is quite a surprise for a Mark Johnson horse. Prince's Trust is obviously the one that you've got to be taken into account, considering he's only had 5 runs. American Hope is another one that looks a little bit unexposed in comparison. Obviously, Eastern Impact is now facing the elders, yeah, as well. If you had to put a gun to my head, I think I would go with Blaine. But this is a seriously really nice race, and I would quite like Heaven's Guest to run well again, obviously. A very, very consistent horse.
Doesn't Blaine need fast ground?
Yeah, it's a good point, but we don't really know what's going on, do we?
So it's already softer on the soft side of good at Ascot.
Yeah, it's a good point. I think Heaven's Guest, everything seems right again, to be honest. And yeah, I do like Blaine, but I understand what you're saying, and I think Heaven's would be Heaven's Guest day. So it'd be between those two.
We'll be talking about Blaine again soon because someone's tweeted in. I can't remember who it was, but we'll be answering a question on Blaine later on. For me, I can see the angle on American Hope completely. Ran a really nice race. Was it 5 runs back at Ascot when caught by? Was it Monjou? It got caught by.
Yeah. The penultimate start was against Monjou.
Yeah. So last time out, I can forgive. I can forgive any horse that run at Goodwood just because it's such a idiosyncratic track. That's what I get for attempting a big word. But if American Hope gets sort of an easy time on the front, I can see him getting loose and possibly making all. Another horse I wanted to sort of throw into the mix was Empire Storm, who's stepping back from listed class and group races. Is 50-1. Stepping back into handicap company. The ground isn't too much of a worry. Mikey Ennis takes off £7, so effectively running off a mark of 97. I could make a fairly good case for Empire Storm after running against the likes of Olympic Glory and the Lock-ins at the start of the season. Ran a really good race in that as well, it has to be said.
And it's his handicap debut.
Exactly. He's hard to win with, I'll grant you that. And he's probably hard to really find the winner's enclosure of any kind. But stepping back into this race, which is something he hasn't really encountered before, I think 50-1 is a bit too big.
And Mikey Ennis takes 7 off.
Yeah, Mikey Ennis has done well since sort of switching to the flat for the summer. Obviously, he'll go back over jumps, but I don't know. I just sort of looked at the price and thought that was a bit big. I haven't had any notes, so I'm going to assume it wasn't the worst shout in the world. So I go for Empire Storm each way. American Hope is the most likely winner for me, though. So them two for me. Callum, your look on the race?
I struggled on this race, and then about 5 minutes ago, I found one that I'm really actually quite keen on. I'll start with the favourite. Prince's Trust went up £12 for a pretty good win at Yarmouth, but the form really isn't strong at all, and it looks pretty harsh considering that form. American Hope, a 7 furlongs around Ascot looks ideal. I mean, he looks more of a sprinter than a miler, and it's just whether the ground is good enough for him. Likewise, Highlander Claim, who is really progressing well, and I think having Danny Tudhope on for a horse that does need to settle well and ridden with restraint, no offence to Sam James, is a decent claimer for £3, but Danny Tudhope would make a difference just like Richard Hughes did at Ascot. So if the ground is fast, then he's the one to beat for me. But there's one I think is a really interesting horse for David O'Mara as well, which is Fort Bastion, who has his first run for David O'Mara. There's some decent form in there. Obviously, he was quite a decent horse in the past. I think for Richard Hannon firstly. I think it's been with Ruth Carr. Must be Ruth Carr.
Yeah.
And there's some parts of this form that are really, really strong. Notably, a 4th at Newmarket behind Heaven's Guest, I assume that's the Bunbury Cup. He's done well on soft ground before. He's had quite a hard season, but it's a first-time visor as well, which David O'Mara has done incredibly well with lately. I mean, we've seen Louis the Pious win in a first-time visor. We've seen, I can't remember who else, but Balducci's won in a first-time visor. Sam Moritz has won in a first-time visor, and they've all bolted up. And there's another notable handicapper that I can't remember the name of at the moment. But they've all won in first-time visors for David O'Mara. So I think this horse has got a massive chance tomorrow. We find whatever the ground is, and he's extremely well handicapped on his old form, and 7 furlongs suits a lot better than what 9 furlongs does to him when he ran in the Cambridgeshire last week. So 16-1 is a great price on him.
Yeah. The one thing about Fort Bastion, I say, is it ran 7 days ago. So how much of an effect could David O'Mara have on in that
Well,
sort of.
it's
sort of-
bizarre. It's bizarre to have him run 7 days ago for a trainer, and all of a sudden,
Yeah.
why would he bring him out so quickly? I've got a feeling he's been with him for a while, and there's something going on here. But I would definitely back him tomorrow without any doubt. I think 16-1 could be very big.
You can see sort of a Scooby-Doo effect on Callum here at Dave O'Mara tomorrow. Like, I ought to go away from him, meddling the Adam, we haven't had you talk about the race, so you can be the last one to talk.
Okay. Well, the one I liked at the 5-day stage was American Hope, but as Callum and you said as well, the ground could be a slight concern, and that would it be enough to put me off. The one that I do like, though, is last year's winner, Heaven's Guest. George Challoner claims 3, won't have any issue with the ground, 7 furlongs is his trip, and I was so surprised, actually, in the Air Gold Cup. I thought he was going to be outpaced. He was leading them at halfway, and I was actually pretty surprised by that, and he ran really well there.
Wait, sorry.
Finishing the same position as he did a year ago, yeah?
Didn't you think Tiggy Wiggy would be outpaced in the super sprint as well?
I think we all thought that, though. It wasn't just me who thought that Tiggy Wiggy would be outpaced, and then, oh my word. Yeah, I thought that Heaven's Guest would be outpaced in the Air Gold Cup, and he wasn't. So I think he can run a huge race tomorrow. Yeah, Heaven's Guest would be the one for me.
Well, that is all the races that we've got planned to cover from Channel 4 tomorrow. Very quickly, action at Longchamp tomorrow. I imagine Michael will have particular interest in that. Anything stand out to you?
Yeah, there's some really nice races tomorrow at Longchamp. Just a quick, I've wrote down 3 that I quite like. In the first race in the Prix Chardonnay, Caldera, the German horse actually, which is unusual for me to see the German horse, but I think this race is weaker than it actually looks. And I think Vazira is really not a horse I'm a massive fan of. Vahino Hope is a listed race, so this race isn't as strong as it may look. Those are the front 2, and Caldera sits about 9-1 and won the German St. Leger last time on very, very soft ground and managed to pick up a very decent horse in Virginia's Sun, one of the horses that I'm very much a fan of in Germany. So I think Caldera has won, I think, 5 of her last 6 runs. And I think she's only had 6 race course starts, in fact. I'm not quite sure about that. Don't quote me on that one, but she's won 5 of the last 6, which is really impressive, and I think she's got a really decent chance here, just tackling an extra 200 metres. So Caldera is the first one, about 9-1. In the following race, the mile race, the Qatar Prix Daniel Wildestein, I think that might be a bit of a German pronunciation instead, is also liking Ken Hope, who won 2 on the bounce in France and Germany, and then was 4th in Ireland recently, I think behind Solana. I think she might have been Solana's race. And that was a pretty decent one as well. That one sits at also around 9-1. You've got horses like Vader, who are basically it's just the Christophe Soumillon, Orlando Arroyo de Prey, and Aga Khan kind of factor that's kind of cutting that one's price down. You've got horses like Limario in the race, which is he wasn't a very impressive horse in Germany, and Summerabend, who's just who's a bit out of form at present. So I think Ken Hope's got a really decent chance. And then if we go down to Thursday Yard in the $3, I think Fractional is unfortunately price-wise now, but he was around 6-1 earlier on. He's at least in good form. He won his last start. I think it was a listed race over 2,000 metres. This is just a slight drop back in trip, but I do worry that Thursday Yard is not going to be fit, and 8-13 is not a price you want to be taking in any world. I think Fractional is probably the best of the rest. And if Sirius Ayag turns up, 5-1 is 6-1 is a very, very good price, considering Sirius Ayag is normally not very good after a break.
Yeah, Fractional, the price I'm looking at the moment is 4-1. Has been well, so.
Yeah, it was 6-1, and then I think price-wise went for it. But yeah, those have been my 3 in France tomorrow.
Callum and Adam, anything quickly at Longchamp for you tomorrow?
Well, I was quite sweet on La Hoguette, and then I saw where she was drawn. She's drawn in the car park, so that sort of tampered my enthusiasm. So, Bond runs as well in the first.
Yeah,
mile 7. I am gutted because I had him down as a Cambridge horse, a Cesarewitch horse. I can never get.
The common mistake is out.
Well, he would have been severely outpaced last Saturday. So, but I thought next week's race would have been perfect for him because 3-year-olds get a hefty allowance in that. So. Yeah, I can see why they've come here though, because they are going to get a softer surface. So, and I don't think he'd be good enough personally.
Yeah,
But
he
next
needs
year,
to
watch out for him.
Right, question time. We have a few questions to get through. Kai Wills, Finchley versus Integral, thoughts? I think we've answered that enough really in the show. I think we based on that without knowing the question. I'm with Integral, Michael's Integral, Adam is Finchley,
Yeah.
and Cal is Integral.
Yeah.
Right. Kai Wills then went on preference out of the two good things of the day, Lamata or Muthmir. I don't think either of them will run.
He asked the question like this last week with two, it was Tiggy Wiggy and something else, and it's like, oh, if you'd have asked me this 24 hours ago and hadn't looked at the weather, I'd have said both of them. But
yeah, if it's good ground at both meetings and they turn up, both of them should win, really.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't want to choose between either of them, but I don't think either will turn up on account of the ground. You guys got anything else to add on top of that?
agree with your every sentiment. Just okay.
Yeah. This is a question about Blaine. Quelch versus food. Alexander Quelch. Blaine in the 350 Ascot. What else needs to be said? Staying on well at 6 furlongs. Low draw advantage by the looks of it, he's being back today, and I think will go close. 16 to 1, an absolute steal in the form of his life. You can't deny he's in the form of his life, but I have him down as a fast ground horse.
And if the rain is going to get into the ground, that low draw bias at Ascot, you just throw it out the wind. Actually, no. He is drawn low. You're right. Sorry, wrong way round. If you're drawn low, yeah, I can see that now. Actually, I was thinking that the low numbers were on the Sands rail, but no, you're all right there. So I can see a case for him.
Low side was strong today, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Chris Heath has combined.
The track's tighter though because of the rails though, so that's one thing. So I don't think it's as prevalent as usual.
Did you see any of the racing today, Callum? Or?
Yeah.
Not like that, not to sound bitchy like that, but like for me, there was a strong preference for the far side horses.
On the sprint track, I didn't really notice that to be fair. But, you might be right.
I was just the main example you can find is Ryan Moore on Consign, that I think was beaten just because he was on the near side rail.
I know.
I didn't say that.
Okay.
I didn't say that to be an arse, but Chris Heath has combined the two questions that we've had into chances of Blaine and 350 Ascot. We've answered that, and Muthmir at 11 to 8 and Lamata at 7 to 4. Is that double the safest double of the year? Again,
No.
if they both ran and it was good ground, it would be. I've already put that double on yesterday. And I was devastated to find out that it's not going to be fast ground.
Chris asked me about Muthmir last night. He said, "Is Muthmir at 11 to 8? Is that fine?" And I was like, "Yeah." And then I looked at the weather, and it's just, you'll get your money back. That's the main thing. If he doesn't
I
run,
look
you'll
forward
get
to
your
that
money
as well. Actually.
back. And then just save it for Arts Day.
Yeah. Sean says, "Who fancies La Hoguette?"
Well, I did. Well, I did.
Banker. That's private, Sean. As well.
Well, I did contemplate her as my nap, but then I saw where she was drawn, and that's put me off. So,
a tweet that Phil Dinsdale's a lot of time for this. Can the great Luke Elder, alias bloke out of In Between Us, give another nap winner this week? I think I'm Jay.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
I think I'm Jay. I don't know if I can give another nap winner, if I'm honest. We'll find out tomorrow, I guess. And he also says to Michael, I think he's been drinking tonight, he says, "Good to have you back, Michael. How's uni going? Mental, isn't it?"
Yeah, it is. It's a good
He's only staying in tonight because he's got liver problems already.
Yeah. Well, I went out last night and I'm going out tomorrow night, so I thought, I should be quite sensible. I've got a heap load of reading to do, so you guys distracted me, but I've got to read The Sleepwalkers, How Europe Went to War, Fun Times. That's something to look forward to. It's a bit of late night.
Don't worry, I'll give you the lesson after we're done. It's a fairly short one. I can make it sort of 2 minutes long. Putting the work in, Darren P. Goodbody. There was news broken earlier today that we lost ex-Triumph Hurdle winner Countrywide Flame, sadly. And we knew that he had problems, but we didn't quite know how serious they were. That's very sad news in the jumping world today. And he also says something that I hate is stats. So he sent into stats. Interesting stats for the Arc. Stall 6 has produced 4 winners in one place over the past decade. Like, great. There might have just been the best horses in Stall 6. Like, yeah, honestly,
oh my word!
like I understand why people would like stats, but no, stats like that anyway, not for me.
Tune in
Really.
tomorrow for a stats rant from Luke Elder.
Look forward
It's
to
a shame I'm not on tomorrow because I have loads of stats about the Arc.
that's a shame, isn't it?
Send them to me and I'll read them out, and then.
Oh, right, so you can take the credit for my amazing work.
No, I will say that you sent them in. Well,
Yeah.
everybody's watching now will probably be watching tomorrow, so they'll all remember it was you that came with the stats. But you came up with them. I think wrong. Anybody can find them, so.
Once you find out my 1, 2, 3 in the Arc, though, I'll be pretty unpopular apart from the first selection. But we'll keep that as a surprise tomorrow.
Yay. Tony Amato has tweeted in saying a very difficult racing tomorrow, in my opinion, especially if the ground changes. I think is just sort of, that's what we've been going on for the whole video, really, isn't it? It's very tough tomorrow. Big fan of the show, Clement Eke. I apologise, I don't know how to say that name. I really apologise for that. It's a tough one. I watch you guys every week from Madrid and really enjoy listening to the views. Why is Lamato so short and is he unbeatable? If he turns up and it's good ground, I think he wins. I think it's sort of the same case.
He's miles better than the rest of them.
Yeah. But will Lamato turn up? I don't know. And one last question from Phil Dinsdale. How much does the draw come into play at Redcar? And I have to say, I don't know. Do any of you guys...
Not really.
Callum,
They normally win up the middle.
High preference.
They normally win up the middle.
Not massive. It depends on the pace of the race.
Yeah.
And one last tip that we got in. Jeff Handley's gone for Highlander Claim in the Challenge Cup. I think that is much better than finishing position suggests last time out. Thanks for that, Jeff. Michael, Naughty Lucky 15 time.
Yeah, Naughty Lucky 15. I must admit, I was trying to keep it. That sounds wrong. I was trying to keep it together when you were talking about your selection at Redcar, but we'll start off a big regular on this show, and we're going to 4 different tracks. Ascot, we're going to go to Brazov for the first one, who's been a regular for pretty much since we started doing the videos, sometime around last August, I think. Then we go to Newmarket for obviously Shagger, as long as there's a big pace to aim at, I think that one's got a really good chance. And then we go to Redcar for Wet Sail, which I found very funny, as I'm very immature. And then we go to Fontwell for Come On Ginger.
Poor Ginger. Poor Ginger. Right, back to seriousness with naps. Callum Medell, go first.
5 fighting, 5:15 Newmarket. Really progressive handicap of Mark Johnston. Really improved lately for blinkers and was so unlucky at Chester last week, where I've never seen a horse fly home so quickly at Chester after getting stuck way too behind. So 5 fighting to burn his rivals away.
I like that. I would say that I would try and challenge everyone to come up with a pun for their horse's name, but my one's not the easiest. Adam, you're next.
I'm gonna take a little bit of a risk and gonna go with Lucky Crystal at Ascot.
Yeah,
Always do that to yourself, Adam.
Are you going each way on that? I assume.
I'm gonna go for straight win.
Oh.
It's unfair.
Yeah, that's brave. I am going. I'm going for Integral.
Oh, that's good.
I was tempted to go for Bronze Maquette, but in the worry that Lamato could still turn up, I don't want egg on my face with that. So Integral for me, I think 72 is far too big. Michael?
Integral was going to be my selection.
We are good when teaming up.
Yeah, so we normally have a pretty good thing. So hopefully I'll help you out rather than giving you a curse to get your 6th win, or my my 15th absinthe win. Absinthe? No, absence.
So uni's got to you. Uni's got to you.
Absinthe. It's absence on the brain. Oh my word.
Actually, Adam, didn't we nap together last? That's wrong. Very wrong. Didn't we?
We napped the same horse, yeah, and it won. Well done, Luke.
I've only just got that.
Well done, Luke.
Oh,
For once in the saying the embarrassing things.
Yeah,
Well done, Luke.
that's one for the outtakes.
We did nap the same horse last week, yeah.
Yeah, we napped the same horse last week in Elm Park.
Yeah.
Wow, that was bad. Sorry, chaps. Yeah, integral for me, integral for Michael, Lucky Crystal for Adam, and firefighting for Callum Adele. That's all we've got time for today. Don't forget, though, we're back tomorrow to cover the ARC card at Longshore. Michael, you're not here tomorrow, are you?
no, so we.
Right, well, we'll read out your fancies for the ARC anyway.
Cheers.
On tomorrow's preview, if you send that to one of us, we will happily do it. Maybe. But until tomorrow, thank you very much for joining us on the Other Hoof. Thank you very much for everyone that participated tonight. You can send your early ARC fancies to @OnTheOtherHoof, and we will read them out tomorrow and give our views on them. But until tomorrow night, goodbye.